Ms. Thompson and staff, I have to say that touched my heart. I'm sure everybody on this board, and we appreciate you and this entire staff in this whole district. And it's easier sometimes to be able to show that than others, but we really appreciate the fact that you recognized it and you appreciate it. So thank you so much. That brings us to item number 11, our superintendent's reports. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hefner, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Indeed, this is a magical kingdom here in Lexington Richland 5 with so many wonderful things going on, as you saw tonight from the recognitions that we did. And hopefully there are many more to come. Two that I would call your attention that are very, very recent is the fact that Dutch Fork High School and Dutch Fork Middle School were named as finalists for the honor of 2017 Palmetto's Finest School in their respective categories. They'll be receiving their follow-up visits in the next few weeks with the winners to be announced in March. And it is certainly a reflection of the quality of schools we have across our entire district. They represent us well. Now, nothing is ever so good that it can't be improved, and nothing is ever so good that we don't have problems from time to time. And our challenge within the past 10 days to 2 weeks has been in the area, our biggest challenge has been in the area of technology. And so tonight we're going to begin with an update from Mr. Richardson with regard to our technology infrastructure and tell you where we are with that as of this moment. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Dr. Hefner, members of the board. You've probably heard, and if you haven't, I'm not sure how you haven't heard, that we've had a few problems with our wireless network in our district over the past several days. Just kind of give you a little background on what's happened is our guest network, which is the wireless network that most folks attach to when they come to our schools via one of these most of the time, cell phones, is basically our system has become overloaded, and so we've had to bring the guest wireless network down. And as a result of that, we've got several wireless networks. Our Lexington Richland 5 wireless network that a lot of our students use for bringing their own devices for instructional purposes to schools. Well, it became inundated with data. Basically, we had to shut it down as well because of the problems we were experiencing, which was causing problems with all of our students on our wireless networks using their district-owned devices and our staff using their district-owned devices. So we had to take action in order to, keep the main thing, what we're here for, the instructional purposes, up and running. And this is not something that we did not see coming. We knew we had these issues. We had planned on addressing them. Unfortunately, our problems happened a little bit sooner than we thought. So what we're doing now is not the permanent fix to what we plan on doing. That's probably going to require a little bit more and some work we're going to be doing over the summer, which we had planned to do all along. But just to let you know, our top priority prior to today was to get our wireless network back up for about 1,000 students we have in the district that bring their own devices for instructional purposes. And I'm happy to report as of about 3:30 this afternoon, we are operational with that network now as well. It gave us a little bit of opportunity to come up with some instructions. Students are going to be logging on a little bit different, using some credentials and passwords that are a little bit different than what they're used to. So that gave us a chance to work on that. So we're getting all that information out to our schools. So tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be running 100% as far as devices for instructional purposes. Now, we're going to be very deliberate in bringing up and allowing any more access to our wireless networks over the next few weeks, months, whatever it takes. Quite frankly, I'm not sure how long it's going to take because we do not want to have the issues that we've been experiencing so that we have to bring it back down again. So just understand that what we're doing now is just probably the first phase or a very early phase of some things that we're going to be doing over the next few months that are really going to hopefully resolve some of the multiple issues that we have with our network across the district. That is pretty much, unless you've got questions, that's pretty much all I have on that.
If there's a question related to that, I think now's the time to ask that.
Mr. Richmond, with whatever has happened, did it affect how classroom assignment that wasn't working?
This is strictly the wireless access to our network. Any wired connections that we have, any home access, that has not been affected.
Okay, that's good, so they can still keep up with that. It's
Yes,
just
ma'am.
it's more in the room with assignments. And in my understanding, this is funny that you're giving us this. I knew about the problems, but at a breakfast with some of the principals, I did, which was interesting to me. I was asking about the what type of technical, tools we had at different schools, and at Irma High, we see them because they're high school kids. So many of them do use their own phones, their own devices, instead of, like in my middle school, we're using a device of our district. So I didn't know whether that, it's just good that the kids can still access. I was worried about grades and assignments and that kind of thing.
Well, teachers had to make special accommodations for, like I said, it's close to 1,000 kids that we have that opted to bring their own devices
Right.
rather than taking a district device.
Right. That's a
So-
choice. We do that every year. That's the way we do that.
That's correct, but those are the children that are students that we were concerned about because they didn't have access because of these problems.
Exactly. Well, see, I didn't even know we did that. So that's, that's another story, but I appreciate it. Thanks.
Ms. Hutchison.
Mr. Richardson, the cause of, I guess, the overload, do you think it might be because there's extra data download by students that's outside of the academic program?
Well, definitely it's outside of what we do academically. I mean, it could be, it could be someone sitting in a parking lot, quite frankly, just attaching to our network, our guest network. We.
I'm sorry, the students, I guess. Or
It could be students, it could be,
students or guests.
Dr. Hefner, what do you say? It could be some guy in
Somebody
China.
in China, somebody, what's the phrase? Somebody in China, somebody in Russia. It could be the 400-pound person sitting on his bed in Brooklyn, or it could be a 14-year-old kid in a room with a substitute teacher right here in our district. Who knows who's bringing us down?
But basically, our network has been wide open. We knew this was going to be an issue at some point in time. Like I said, this happened a little bit sooner than we thought, and it could have been, I guess if it had to happen, this was probably the best time for it. It wasn't in the middle of any kind of online testing or anything like that, so that would have been catastrophic had we had those issues. So hopefully, we're going to try to avoid that until we get a permanent fix in place.
I just might add, one of our high school principals told me that he had a student who had graduated 2 years ago who came in to complain that our wireless was not working because he came every day and parked in our parking lot to do various things, I guess, download stuff, whatever. So I think, I've been led to believe we have a lot of people tapping into our wireless, and we have to build in some controls.
Yeah.
Mr. King.
Ms. Hammond.
You
Yes,
brought
ma'am.
up a good point. This is a good place to ask, and Dr. Melton might have this one. Are we going to be required this year that all of the testing by the state has to be online? Is that mandated now to us? I know every year they kind of give us a reprieve, but we are doing it at our middle school, and I wondered about our schools. And then that worried me that we have that fixed. And you brought that to my mind, and I got worried when you said at least it wasn't while we were testing, because that's very important.
Well, it has been mandated, but
Yeah.
Dr. Melton or Mr. Bounds probably have to speak to it, but we have applied for waivers on a majority of the online testing because we knew we had these issues anyway,
Gotcha.
so we
Good.
did not want to be in the. Now, my understanding is it is mandated
That's
for
what-
next school year.
Yes.
Unless something changes, we're working towards making sure we're okay for next year. Maybe. There you go.
Thank you. This has been a collaborative effort between accountability under Mr. Bound's supervision, instruction with me, of course, and then Mr. Richardson with technology. We've had many conversations, but for us to make the waiver deadline to the state board, we had to have something in writing before December 1st. So we did meet that deadline. We are doing a combination this year of online testing, but also paper pencil testing. So for example, we were very uncomfortable with our elementary schools doing online testing because our technology staff just did not have the confidence that we had the infrastructure to do it successfully. So the high school level, we're doing online testing for our EOCs, for our work keys, things like that we're supposed to be doing. We're doing either a combination of paper or online, but middle level, we're doing combination, primarily online at the middle level because we do have one-to-one devices. But elementary, we're going to resort and do paper and pencil. The department and the state board did say to us that we have to show due diligence, of course, that we are working towards being prepared to do online testing for the next school year, 17-18. But for 16-17, we've been given permission not to do everything online because of our local situation.
Thank you, because that'll make us feel a little better in case, everything isn't set in place that he's fixing to.
Absolutely. It was a decision that we all struggled with, but we decided in the end, we felt that was best, and then this happened, so then we celebrated the fact that we did make that, what we consider courageous decision to pursue that waiver from the State Department.
I would compliment you to thinking ahead, too. That was good. Thank you.
Mr. Cates.
One of our goals is to be device adaptable. Are we looking at current policies that support that goal? Because obviously that was an issue for those 1,000 students that selected. So I hope going forward that some safeguards will be put in place. And then the other part of that is several years ago, Dr. Harris, I worked with you and a group as part of looking at the student handbook and the discipline. The other goal is that they become good digital citizens. And it's always a balance between keeping them locked in a tight box and giving them enough freedom. So are we taking steps to teach that digital citizenship and balancing the need to secure the network would be, I think, two things for us to look at. Those are two opportunities to explore during this time.
Well, I can speak to the part about trying to make things more secure. Without, and I can't get too technical because I'm not a technical person, but we've migrated to what we call Active Directory, and that allows us to assign credentials to individuals. And part of what was being done prior to this change that happened today is students who brought their own devices had a whole different way to log into the system. And I won't say they were anonymous, but it wasn't really tied to a particular student, whereas now you're going to have your own credentials, so we're going to know who's on our network and what they're doing.
Dr. Harris.
And I'll also add, Mr. Cates, that you're absolutely right. We are working in tandem with this whole process regarding technology to make certain that all of our disciplinary procedures and practices are in place, and that our students are clearly understand exactly what it is that they can and cannot do as it relates to that. That process, I will tell you, is underway now, and we're trying to make certain that our handbook is aligned with the newer recommendations from our state board as it's currently being reviewed by our legislature. So there's some changes that I'll bring forward pretty soon to kind of talk and speak to that, but all of that will be working in tandem with what's currently happening with our technology.
Obviously, we could spend all evening talking about technology, but if there are no other pressing questions, we'll now move to our monthly financial reports. Again, to Mr. Richardson.
Thank you once again, Dr. Hefner. Excuse me, I can't talk. Exhibit B in your packet is the general fund report, financial reports for the months of November and December. Since we've met early December, November's weren't ready, and now that we're in January, I thought I would just go ahead and combine the two for November and December. And basically what that means is we're halfway through the year, which is hard to believe. I'll just hit the highlights here unless you have specific questions, but on the second page of the revenues, you can see that to date, we have collected $40,209,271. And at the end of the expenditures, you can see that we spent $28,539,590. If you recall, the past few months that I've given you revenue and expenditure reports, the expenditure number's been a good bit larger than the revenue number. So that's finally flipped now, so that we're bringing in more than we're spending. Actually, in November, just to give you, for instance, we spent about $5 million more than we did for the month, that we brought in for the month of November. But in December, that has turned around, and we brought in about $16 million more than we spent. So you can see that things finally starting to flip. We're starting to see tax money, those kind of things. December and January will be our big months for revenue collections. And unless you have specific questions, that concludes my general fund report.
Any questions? I'd like,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Ms. Hutchison.
Are you going to talk about expenditures, the expenditure page, or can I go ahead and ask questions?
Sure. I kind of gave you what I was going to say, so anything you want to ask.
Okay, I was looking on page 1, and I see that you have kindergarten, primary, elementary, and high school. Where's the middle school or intermediate schools?
Okay, they're included in this. This is based on the classifications that we're required to report our expenditures in. It's by grade level typically. So when you look at 111, that's just kindergarten, 5K kindergarten. 112 would be grades 1 through 3. 113 would be 3 through 8, and then 9 through 12, of course, would be high school. And anything in a 115 function would be what they refer to as vocational.
Okay. Thank you, that was good. And then on page 3, at the very bottom, there's a function called undesignated. What does that mean?
Means we don't have the correct title in there. That is, I believe that one, you're asking me to go back, I believe that was gifted and talented artistic.
I thought I saw that elsewhere. Well, so.
I'm sorry,
maybe
you're right,
that-
you're right.
Well, maybe you can just get back with me
I
on
will
that.
have to because I'm drawing a blank on what that one is.
Sure, that's fine. It seems like I had another question. I think that's all, Mr. Gant.
Anybody else have a question? Mr. Richardson, I want to publicly thank you and your staff. We all read the newspapers, we all see events across the state from time to time, but I appreciate the fact that the professionalism in this district shows in our annual CAFR. You give us these monthly reports, you anticipate income just like you did for the taxes coming in, but we really appreciate, this community appreciates your staff being so diligent, and the staff of our schools complying with all the requirements to stay in compliance and be in a good, sound financial condition. So on behalf of this board, we appreciate it. We really appreciate the fact that we know you're watching I've heard stories about you. You're watching it very, very diligently. So you keep watching it because we appreciate that great accounting that goes on with you and your staff and with the schools cooperating with you. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Gant.
Ms. Hutchison.
And I will just kind of add one thought as I was reading this, and it seems like every time I read it, it just amazes me how many programs and how many things, for lack of a better word, that we do in this district with summer school and adult ed, all of the special needs programs, the pre-K. It is really amazing what this public school is. And as I was driving up here, I thought, we serve our students, and that's why we're here, but we are serving the public. It's, we're not only educating our children and providing them wonderful opportunities, but it truly is, it's the whole community that benefits from the things we do. And I've got some ideas on perhaps how we talk to our legislators at our breakfast coming up, and maybe how we can showcase some of the amazing programs that we have that just the general person would not know about. I mean, they would have no idea. They hear what our budget is and say, oh, gosh, excess money. But if you look to see a certain percentage goes to adult ed and special needs and student support services, it's really impressive. It really is. So I'd love to have a conversation, see how we can better tell our story of the service, the public service that we're doing for this community.
Great points, great points. You have comments? Dr. Hefner, we're back to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, let's go back again to Mr. Richardson for item number 3, the capital budget report.
Thank you yet again, Mr. Hefner, Dr. Hefner, and members of the board. I've actually got 3 capital reports to briefly go over on the financial piece, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Carlin to come up here and show you some of the items that we've actually done as a result of these capital projects. All of these reports, I think the last report we did for you was probably back in August, if I remember correctly, and it was for last fiscal year. This is going to be for the first 6 months of this fiscal year, which will be July 1st through December 31st. The very first one in your packet is, the title of it says Capital Projects 585 and 586. Apologize for not catching that, but this is now just Capital Projects 586, which was the one from fiscal year 2016. Budgets that you see here are for just the current fiscal year. This is not what was initially approved when we did the 5-year capital plan back then. But as of December 31st, we had a budget of $4.856 million, and we have a current balance unencumbered left of $3.6 million. Mr. Carlin is going to show you some of these projects. Some of them are still ongoing. Some of them have yet to be commenced work on yet due to various reasons, which we'll try to hit on. But I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have now, but we may answer that as we go through the PowerPoint. The second one is labeled Capital Budget Plan 2017, and that is the one that we passed, if you recall, back last spring, which we're operating under for the current fiscal year. This one had initially approved for $10 million. As you may recall, we did not get the full $10 million. We actually got roughly $9.5 million. But as of July 1st of this fiscal year, we had almost $7.3 million left that we have budgeted for the current fiscal year. And we currently have about $3 million, well, excuse me, wrong column. We currently have about $4.4 million balance that is unencumbered at this particular time. These projects are listed on the pages for you. Some of them are complete, some are still a work in progress, and then, like I said, some of these may not even begun yet. If you have any questions about these, I'll be glad to try to answer it, but hopefully there again, we can answer some of those questions once we get to the PowerPoint. And last, and believe me, not least, is this says Capital Building Plan. This was part of the referendum and the Chapin Middle School project. And there's still some things going on. There's still some money sitting out here that you'll see for Irmo High School and Chapin High School. But the bottom line is, out of a budget of $6.5 million, we currently have an unencumbered balance of $5,056,000. I do want to draw your attention to something on the second page, about halfway down. You'll see an account called, it's 536-253.69 and a bunch of zeros. That is the money that we currently have set aside for the Chapin Middle School addition from the money that was left at the end of building Chapin Middle School.
Can you say that again?
The second page, it's Capital Building Plan, Board Reports, and it's on the second page.
Right. And then,
It's under Location District-Wide, 536.253.69 and a bunch of zeros.
Okay, I see.
It's $2,112,000.
Oh, I see, where it says other objects.
That's correct.
Okay,
That is the money that was left from the current Chapin Middle School program that we're using putting towards the new addition.
How much was that again, Mr. Richard?
It's $2,112,000.
And with Chapin Middle, was that part of the bond money?
This
really, was it?
No, it was
Yeah,
not.
that's what I thought.
It was funded from several different capital
Funds.
programs, prior capital programs that the board set aside funding for.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. I have a question, Mr. Gant, just about the organization of this. Say like where you've got there's not a number at the bottom of the page, so I can't, but say you've got the budget, the figures, and then behind it are our pictures. Do they go with the year or the I just want to know the organization of this. Or then you just got all of the figures and then everything's the pictures behind it?
Yes, Ms.
There's no order really.
For each of the budgets, there's
Okay,
two
that's
I'm
what
going
I
to
wanted.
talk about, and you'll have
The picture as we talk about that budget.
well, you'll have the budget that you approved. and
Yeah.
I'll be talking about that, and then pictures follow after each of the budgets.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you, just process here.
I think it's your turn.
Am I up? Well, Mr. Chair, board members, Dr. Hefner, thank you for the opportunity to upgrade or to update you on the status of our capital projects program. You received another spreadsheet in your package that is for the proposed budget. We're not going to talk about that in this segment. I'll just be going over our existing projects, and we'll move on to that in the discussion part of the board meeting.
I'm sorry, for us new folks, would you mind just introducing yourself and your title? I'm still trying to figure out who everyone is.
Certainly, and I'm sorry about that. I'm Scott Carlin. I'm the coordinator of facilities operations for the school district. So just consider me all things existing facilities, continuous improvement, maintenance, upgrade, those kinds of things. Did I do something? PowerPoint? Oh, good. Okay, wasn't me. Okay, well, while we're getting that back online, just for Mr. Cates' benefit and also for our audience, what I'm going to do is first show you what the board approved basically 2 years ago, and then by color coding on each of the projects, yellow for complete, green for in progress, and then blue for pending, I'll show you where we are on that budget. Following that, I'll show you some pictures of the projects, where we are. If the project is already complete, you've already seen pictures of that project in a previous update meeting, so I won't be rehashing those. But, and then once we're complete with that, we'll move on to last year's budget and where we're on with those. At any given time, or I should say, at any given budget, we're normally completing those over a 2-year time frame, so they kind of overlap each other as we move along. We're close. Well, I'll tell you what. I do have a copy, fortunately, of what you're looking at with the spreadsheet, so why don't I do that while they're getting the slide presentation up. If you'll look at the spreadsheet entitled FY 15-16 budget, that would be the 2 years ago budget.
Yep.
Does everybody have that?
Okay.
It's the one right above it, Marcus, the 20 meg file. Great, okay, perfect. Now everybody can see it.
It's not on our screens.
Okay.
That first page is all in yellow, so that means complete.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And it's the only one pending's on the second page.
Yeah,
I mean, not pending, but in progress.
yes, ma'am. And I'm going to hopefully control this thing with a device. Okay. Let's see if it's working. Should be. I'm seeing a green. Doesn't seem to be advancing. Okay? All right. This is the first page of the budget that was approved 2 years ago. And every time we bring you a proposed budget, of course, we're bringing you our forecast for the next 5 years, including the one we're asking you to actually approve, which is the budget in the far left column. All those projects are complete at this time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on those, but most of these you've seen before, except for Mr. Cates.
I'm familiar with them.
Okay. Pending any questions, we'll go to the next slide, which is the second sheet. The only project that we're still in the process of completing with this budget is the athletic upgrades at Chapin High School, which consisted of a baseball field house renovation, as well as some minor cosmetic upgrades in the restrooms under the Chapin High home side of the stadium. And then also, the more complicated parts of the project, we're constructing concession and press boxes for the baseball team and the softball team. We are very close to completion. We've obtained beneficial occupancy from the State Department on all the facilities. Contractor's in the process of finishing the punch list items. This project has gone on longer than we'd hoped. It has also been more complicated than we anticipated because of some existing conditions at the site. We, however, anticipate able to fully support the first baseball game, which is going to be on February 8th. Questions? All right,
And
let's
that's
go
what-
to,
That's
ma'am.
what all these pictures are.
That's where we're going to
Okay.
right now, exactly. Next slide. Okay, this is a picture of inside the baseball field house. It basically had a kind of a strange shower area with 3 shower heads in it that nobody ever really used. With this part of the project, they're getting some needed storage. They had individual showers and better use of the space. Next slide. I'm sorry, go back one. What you were looking at right there is the storage facility that they have now. Next slide. This is the individual shower facilities they now have, from basically demolition on the top left down to completion on your right. Next slide. Okay, this is the baseball press box. The top left is what was existing at one time. It did have a very small press box and a lot of irrigation systems in the lower half of the structure, so not real functional for the team. Now, what they have is a full concession stand on the bottom and a press box on the top. That's what you see on the lower right slide. This is me taking the picture basically from from home plate and the different phases of construction. You can what you used to see there was big chain link fence for the backstop. Now the popular thing, apparently with baseball and softball, is having the netting. So you see the metal post and then netting for the backstop and the brick wall as well. Slide. Okay, this is the softball press box, and they had their press box at one time was a card table and a pull-behind trailer, and now they have exactly what the boys' team has with exact dimensions and all accoutrements, and that one is complete. Slide. This again is taking it from home plate, looking at the front of the facility. Slide. Okay, that completes the budget from 2 years ago, and hopefully, again, when we complete the budget in our 3 readings in February, I'll be able to say we've totally closed out that budget from 2 years ago. This is the budget you approved last year. All the projects, of course, are in yellow that you see on this front page, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on those, but again, most of those you've seen in a previous presentation. Slide. Okay, page 2. Chapin High School Drama Theater. That project is approved through Office of School Facilities. We are in the process of bidding that, and hopefully we'll have that on the street in the next 2 weeks. And then hopefully by the end of February, beginning of March, we will start that renovation at Chapin High, and we will finish it the early part of the summer. And I'll talk a little bit more about that one as we get into the slides. Dutch Fork High School, that project to do some renovation work in their theater or their auditorium. It is design complete. It is Office of School Facilities for approval, but we do not have that approval to advertise yet. Ma'am.
Go ahead.
Okay. Irmo High School, we're renovating the restrooms in the west wing of the facility and basically doing that after hours and on weekends and holidays. That is in progress right now, and we hope to have that complete in the next couple of months. And then finally, constructing the Animal Sciences barn at the Cates Center, and that is very near complete as well. And then I'll talk about more of those in the slide unless you have any specific questions now. Ms. Byrne, or Hutchison, sorry.
I was looking at the Irmo High School, and I see you're doing some 2017-18 roof replacement and HVAC.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was wondering if there are any plans to put screens on the roof to block the HVAC, especially on the west wing. The HVAC is right at the edge of the building closest to St. Andrews Road.
Okay.
And so I don't know if there's any plans to block that, but
There are no plans at present. That doesn't mean we couldn't look at that.
I would like for you to look at it. I don't know about the rest of the board, but I'd love to know, if it's possible. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but, safe. And, but I think it does take away from what is now a really pretty
Yes, that is.
compound. Thank you.
We will take a look at that. Ma'am.
And then when you have the district, and you have several things listed, including safety and security equipment. This is for 16-17. So you're still working on that. That will be maybe
That's
this
correct.
summer.
And that, a lot of the safety and security things are going on right now and have been going on, so it's not a waiting for summer on the majority of that.
And what do you mean by that?
That's anything from putting fences up to adding cameras to, Mr. Richardson, I'm trying to remember what some of the other things are.
It really includes anything, door locks, cameras is a big part of it. Security cameras have been a big part of this year. Radios, I mean, it just depends. That's really kind of, our security department of one actually is the driving force behind making sure that we have what we need in that area.
Sounds good. Thank
And
you.
also, I mean, while we're on the subject, you're looking at some other items here, like, for instance, activity bus replacement. Well, we've either received or have buses on order, so that money will be, it may still be showing up if we haven't spent it yet. It's just because it's taking a while to get buses in.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on this slide?
Ms. Hammond.
I just wanted on the upgrade of the drama theater at Chapin, and that's in the green, so it's in progress, as you said.
Yes, ma'am.
This year, they're just using it as it was.
Yes.
In other words,
Correct.
I got you, and I heard your,
And Dr. Ross has made arrangements for, when construction starts, we'll be doing it during the school year, but they've made other arrangements on what
okay,
to do with those
because I know,
classes.
and I know they've had to work around a lot of things. I just wondered how this year the actual instruction was going.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Carl, I want to make a comment. Ms. Hutchison brought up a few minutes ago about the aesthetic look of our buildings. I think that's probably something the board would love to look at as we do any of these projects. I know it's added cost, but I think we have noticed that we've done so much beautiful work in front of, behind, and around schools. Sometimes those large handling units are the things that we see first. So I think that's probably, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. It may be
Probably the
cost
only
prohibitive.
person that thinks those are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Anyway, just want to pass that along. I don't know if those are bid, like we bid construction projects, but I know sometimes you use an ad alternate.
Well, if we were to do something like that, and that has been done on different projects, I mean, we did it at Chapin High School to
Right.
guard some of what you see in the fine arts area. It could be done either with a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning project or a roofing project.
Right. Well, just put that in the back of your mind and maybe
Yes,
advise
sir.
the board as we move along. Ms. Baumgartner.
I just want to piggyback on what Mr. Gant just said. And really, Irmo Middle School has to be the most unattractive as far as the heating and air conditioning
It's all you
vents
see.
being so visible. That's the first place I think of when I see those. That's just going back, I agree with you on all of them, but that particular one just, to me, glares. So
Mr.
while we're kind of looking,
Yes, ma'am.
I would back up Ms. Bumgarner on that. And it's a question that somebody that knows about construction and the technical part of air conditions, because it does seem like ever since mine, even at Irmo Middle, they were always doing something to the roof too, and we were smelling tar and pitch and, because it is such a flat roof. But you do look at that school and you just see those big air conditioning units sticking out of the top of it. I mean, but evidently, I've just assumed, and I didn't know any better, I've just assumed it had to be that way.
well, I think it has to be that way. We can just hide it.
Yeah, I got you.
Like we did those electrical things on the side.
But I do think the aesthetic value of a school is the first thing people see.
I agree.
It's certainly not the most important at all. It's what's going on in that classroom. But if there is a way, I would agree if we could look at that as we move forward.
We'll look at it. Any other questions on this slide? Okay. This is a project that was completed just after school began at Seven Oaks, and you've seen the two pictures on the left before, but what you haven't seen is the final membrane that has the reflective aggregate coating, and that gives it that white. You'd be amazed at how much that reflective coating does to keep our buildings relatively cool inside and not have to run air conditioning systems as heavily. So we're saving energy while we're doing that as well. Slide. This is a part of the, I'm standing on top of the upper part of the gymnasium looking down at one of the lower roofs, and again, you see that nice white membrane coating. Next slide. Okay, Chapin High School Drama Theater. Just a couple of existing condition photos. This space, although Chapin received a very generous bond referendum project, this space was not touched during that part, and so you've got some pretty outdated facilities here in that drama area. Next slide. These are the two floor plans, the existing conditions on the left side, and then what we hope it to look like on the right side. And again, this has been approved through Office of School Facilities. We're in the process of bidding it. One of the biggest discussion items when the budget was approved was seating for the new area, and we're actually bidding that with two alternates. One is to try to utilize some existing seating we have in the Chapin Town Theater, and the other alternate is putting new seating in. And we'll be coming back to the board with that, showing you what the differences are, and then we can make a decision and press on. Some of the things that are being done in there, besides basic aesthetic improvements, we're replacing the theatrical lighting system, the house lighting. We're replacing the sound system and the curtains. And basically, other than that, it's just a cosmetic upgrade, all your interior finishes. Any questions there? Slide. Okay, restrooms at Irmo High School. Again, we're renovating the majority of the restrooms in the west wing that were not addressed during the bond referendum. And what you see here is the part of the faculty restrooms. Because of the way the plumbing is in the building, we're renovating restrooms on the top floor and the main floor as we go along. Close a set of restrooms down, renovate those, open them back up, and move on to some other ones. So we're not limiting too badly the facilities for the students. Ma'am?
You said faculty bathrooms, but you also, student
Oh,
bathrooms?
yes, definitely. It's just
Yes.
it's phasing of the project.
Phasing.
Yes, ma'am.
But at the end, they'll all be
Correct.
fixed.
It's all part of
and
it.
look nice.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Next slide. And this is just one of the other restrooms. I think this is the upstairs, the third floor. Okay. This is the Animal Sciences Barn out at the Cates Center. And once we were able to get the project off the ground and get some of the utilities in ground, the barn took off pretty quickly. I was in there last week, and they've placed the concrete on the inside of the building so that you can drive trailers in and what have you, but that's getting very close to completion. We have an inspection with Office of School Facilities on the 9th of February with this project. Slide. And these are just some exterior as well as interior shots of what that facility is going to look like. You can see the stall doors on the two upper right pictures for each of the animal stalls. Slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Any other questions on the barn project?
Mr.
Ms.
Chairman,
Hammond.
I do. Do we know enrollment for the number of students that will be taking,
Ooh, no.
Because we're just trying to get it fixed. We've not got an idea of how many.
I mean, Dr. Couch does,
He
I'm
would,
certain. I
okay.
do not.
But so no part of it yet is being able to be used. This
No,
isn't
ma'am.
be- Yeah.
No, ma'am.
But it would be for next fall or,
Well, we're hoping on February 9th, we're going to have beneficial occupancy of the barn. We will have some other things to install, like the pens outside.
so, well, I think that's my question. So any curriculum that's there right now this year, if it gets finished in February, then students can be using this?
Theoretically, yes. I don't know what their programming is, but yes.
And this barn would have, it's not just for horses? It could have cows, it can have, I mean, when y'all presented
Yes,
this
ma'am.
to us,
They
you
could
know,
have
it
a
was like
variety
there's
of
a lot of
animals.
different things. It wasn't just going to be horses.
Correct.
Okay. I'd be interested in, and I know that's not your field, but I would be interested in the curriculum and exactly the classes and courses using the facility. I mean, it's not like I'm saying I'm not worried about what it'll be used for, but I think that's a good question that as a school board member, because some people look at it and think is it just for equestrian? It has to do with one curriculum. I'd like to know, because I was led to believe it was different curriculums that the students would be using it for.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other question, comment? At this point, it looks like a great spot for a future board meeting to me. I'd love to. Maybe before
We
it
could
gets
probably
too
pull that
juicy.
off.
You can ride a horse. You can't. You have to ride a horse.
Before or after we put animals in?
Just early on in its life.
Mr. Gant likes to.
Mr. Gann, I can milk a cow. I told Dr. Couch that. He told me at breakfast the other morning, he wanted all the board members to be able to milk a cow.
All right, we may want to have a board workshop right there.
That'd be kind of fun.
I've shown you all the projects that you approved in the two budgets. But one of the things that we also include in every proposed budget is a certain amount of money for school-identified needs as well as a contingency budget. And as we complete the projects that we committed to complete and that you approved, we're also able to use some of the remaining dollars to do other school-identified needs. And I just wanted to show you a few pictures of what some of those needs are and what we're able to do once we complete our big projects. Dutch Fork Middle School, we were able to do some painting in the academic areas. On the left is what you had before, and on the right, we cleaned it up a little bit. And this is just another picture of one of their other corridors. Dutch Fork High School, we were having some trouble with those columns and peeling paint because let's just say it was a design issue for the columns. So we went in and moisture-proofed those columns to take care of a maintenance problem there. It's a little bit difficult to see, but you can see the little white tip or caps on top of the columns under the steel. Next slide. Irmo High School. We had a fairly significant event happen there where we had some brick actually fall from an upper wall outside the cafeteria. And we immediately obtained the services of an architect and engineer to go inspect and see what had happened. And basically, that original construction did not have did not provide the structure and ability, the brick, and ability to expand and contract with normal seasonal change. And so, which is commonplace now, it was not back when they constructed this back in the 60s. But we went in, evaluated the entire facility, went in, of course, repaired the brick, but also evaluated all the brick on that facility and went in and did some maintenance work to make sure that that was all secure and stable. And we also did some waterproofing work up at the roof to make sure that we don't have moisture problems down the road as well. So that project is complete. We also, something that was not taken care of during the bond project at Irmo High School, and I won't get into all the details, but basically we did not get a satisfactory price from the contractor. So we went in after the fact and replaced the windows that you may have seen on the second floor of the main building that had this lovely green in that upper left picture that we had to have for fire protection. We replaced the windows and we were able to get rid of that. So next slide, you'll see turn the corner and you couldn't see out the windows before, now you can. At one of my lovely HVAC units. Only an engineer loves the look of that, so, but I understand.
You are
I
glad we
think
have
that
them.
may
You
be
are
it.
glad.
Yes, that completes our update on our current capital projects, and then again, later on in the meeting, we're going to talk about our proposal.
Thank you. Oh, I think there's, any more questions?
I just want to remark how wonderful it is to have the PowerPoint slides in our packet so that we can take a look at it beforehand and really understand and be able to ask questions. It really is so helpful. So thank you for doing that. I know it takes some extra effort, and thank you, Ms. Stowers, for putting all of this together, but it is a big help.
Yes, ma'am.
Great comment. Mr. White?
I just had a quick question. What was
Yes,
the
sir.
green- Why was the green over the
Thank
windows?
Yeah.
Is it something for fire protection?
Yes. Sometimes when the architect designs and the engineer designs something, and then we have our code officials come in after the fact, even though the project's been approved, there's a difference of opinion on code interpretation, and our code official deemed that because of that lovely HVAC unit that I showed you, that created a penetration in the roof, which theoretically could allow fire to get up and compromise the exterior wall of the academic building. And so those green boards were put up there as fire protection for a potential fire. So now we have fire-rated windows to replace what was existing.
So before we have fire-rated windows, you had to put that green board up.
Correct.
We're meeting code.
I did not side with the code official on that interpretation.
They should have painted a different gold.
I don't get to make
black,
those calls.
Hermo color.
Any other question, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Carlin.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Richardson, and that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Hefner. That brings us to item 13, and we have no one signed up for public participation, so we're going to, item number 12. And we have no one signed up, so we're going to go to item number 13, which are actions necessary or appropriate on matters discussed in executive session.